You're on YouTube and you clicked this video because the title was interesting to you or the thumbnail was intriguing. Something about it made you think, I'm going to click this and watch this and hear more about what this could mean. And that means something already. It means that you are actively looking for certain stories. It means you are engaging in news and politics. You're on an alternative media space. Now, I know YouTube is borderline mainstream media. It's the second largest search engine in the world. So much mainstream comment originates here and then appears on other places. So it's pretty mainstream, like we all use it. But it's a space where you can actively search for certain issues or get suggestions of certain issues that you'll want to follow. And the reason I'm saying this first is that the people who need to hear what I'm about to talk about probably will not hear it. And I don't think there's anything I can do about it. I'm not sure there's anything anyone can do about it. Certainly you can share these videos and hopefully people will click them and watch them, but how far will that really go? I know to a certain extent it's possible, it is. But since the inception of social media, I think we've just seen the formation of these bubbles get tighter and harder to penetrate. Which leads me to the topic of the day, the danger of fake news and what's called the Gell-Mann amnesia effect, which I have talked about in the past, but we're going to get into it all right now. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have seen the news that Donald Trump dumped a bunch of food into a koi pond when he was meeting with Shinzo Abe in Japan. The story goes that following a dinner, or before the dinner, I'm not sure which, they were given ceremonial little buckets with little spoons, and they both flicked their little spoons into the water, sending the food to the fish. And then, according to many outlets and journalists on Twitter, Trump grew impatient and then just dumped the entire box into the water. The only thing is, that's technically not true. What actually happened was that Shinzo Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan, was flicking his spoonfuls of koi food and then chucked the entire contents into the water, and Trump decided to follow suit. For whatever reason, ABC News ran a clip of this that was zoomed in on Trump so you could only see Trump doing it, and then some other personalities tweeted out a photo of Trump dumping the food in the water, which led to a massive viral outpouring of people saying, oh my God, Trump can't even feed fish right. They were so quick, they were so sure that Trump can't do anything right that certainly this was another instance where Trump was wrong. And how many outlets ran this story? Did they fact check? Did they look into the practice? Did they know anything about it? No. All they know is that they saw a photo on Twitter, and that was good enough for them. If you're watching this video, it is likely that you're already aware that the media has been unfair to Trump. I tweeted out this morning, I do not like Trump. Stop making me have to defend him. He is a president with legitimate policy ideas and has done actual things, like a missile strike in Syria, like a raid in Yemen, which resulted in the death of a little girl. And there are real things that we can criticize the executive branch and the president about. Unfortunately, when the news media would rather attack Trump for pouring fish food in water, which is a non-story, by the way. Who cares? Who cares if Trump actually grew impatient and dumped fish food in the water? But instead of talking about things that matter, the media talks about the gossip, and they talk about any little thing, anything that can perceivably be taken as Trump doing a bad job. And somewhat paradoxically or ironically, here I am criticizing the media for talking about nonsense. Well, I'm talking about nonsense. While I'll admit that it is a bit nonsense to even try and refute the story of Trump pouring fish food, the bigger story here is not about Trump and fish food or Shinzo Abe. It's about how the media will literally take anything they can to attack Trump even when they are wrong. Take, for instance, GQ, which had to issue a correction because they criticized Donald Trump's call for the death penalty for a terrorist and not for the Las Vegas shooter. Why? Because the Las Vegas shooter was dead. Then we have Keith Olbermann doing basically the exact same thing, where you have people who don't even know what is happening in the world ready to criticize Trump incorrectly. There's the all too famous story of Trump getting 2 scoops of ice cream when everyone got 1. Yes, in an interview, in a scoop from Time magazine. It was reported that Donald Trump got 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream with his chocolate cream pie, and everyone else only got 1. In fact, there was another story where Donald Trump's salt and pepper shaker were bigger than someone else's. This is news. Is this really all they have to report on? You may have heard of the Paradise Papers, a leak of around 13 or 14 million documents showing how people are storing money offshore. It's very similar to the Panama Papers, and this could be a really big story. Now, I'll admit I should be looking more into this, but I'm an individual and it will take some time, but I am. But these big news organizations, they're going to spend time tweeting about and reporting on Donald Trump pouring fish food into water instead of things that actually matter. Now, to the credit of many of these news organizations, when it came to light that Trump was just following suit after Shinzo Abe dumped the food in the water and Trump just followed suit, they did correct. Many of these outlets did correct. But did the journalists on Twitter? Unfortunately, many of them did not. Now, obviously, I can't check every single journalist on Twitter, but of the few that had high-profile tweets, I didn't see a retraction or a correction or an update. Which leads me now to a couple more ideas that I've talked about relatively often, but I know that not everybody watches every single video. So there's a thing called the Gell-Mann amnesia effect. And I'm just gonna give you you can Google search it, but I'm just gonna give you the quick rundown of what it means. Let's say you are an expert juggler, and you open up that newspaper to see a story about juggling, and you say, my God, that story's absolutely wrong. That's not what juggling is like at all. I would know. I'm a juggler. But then you turn the page and there's a story about foreign policy war with the president, and you go, wow, I didn't know that. The idea is that you will see a flaw in the reporting when you are an expert, but you will forget about that bad reporting the moment you come across a subject in which you are not an expert. Now, there's another concept that I talk about relatively often, and this is the idea that a journalist can tell you the truth, perfect truth, and lead you to the wrong conclusion. You may be familiar with the dihydrogen monoxide prank, okay? I made a video about this. Maybe I can link it in somewhere. Now, dihydrogen monoxide kills people. Very often, it eats through metal. It's used to clean engines. It's found in cancer cells. You can say many things about this chemical that would freak people out. But the reality is dihydrogen monoxide is water. The point is, you can tell the truth. That dihydrogen monoxide has killed millions. They find it in cancer cells. It's up in our upper atmosphere from you see it coming out of the back of planes. That's all true. But people are going to assume the wrong thing because of the way I phrased it. And that's what a lot of these journalists do. Sure, they'll tell you the truth. They don't need to issue a correction because it's true. Now, why all of this is scary is that we see the hole in the Khoi Pond story. It's so apparent. We can look and say, wow, all of these journalists and all of these news outlets were wrong, essentially spreading fake news because they don't vet their stories. They don't look into the practice. They don't watch the entire video. They just retweet what someone else tweets. Everyone's just eating their own waste, their own crap. Journalism is a community, and all of these journalists know each other. Obviously not all of them know all of them, but many of them know each other, and they go to conferences together, like the Online News Association, which meets every year. And these people gather around, they all talk to each other, and they believe each other. So when one of them is wrong, everyone else just says, they're a journalist, it must be true. Because the assumption is that everyone's actually doing a good job of fact-checking. The reality, no, they're not. Everyone just trusts their friends or family and repeat what they say, and journalists are no exception to this. You've listened to what I had to say, and you probably already agree for the most part. You already knew most of this, and what I'm saying is not going to change much. How do we reach the people who aren't going online and searching for more information? How do we get the average person who sits at home and watches TV to know that this was a fake story? To know that Sam Hyde isn't a mass shooter? I don't actually know. I don't. Maybe sharing this video could help. Maybe talking to as many people as possible, not outright dismissing people who hold wrong ideas or who repeat fake news, but just to pull up some sources and say, hey, I'm not going to argue with you, just read this. I'm looking at a scary future where no matter who wins, someone's going to spread hyperbole and fake news, and we're going to start believing really insane things about our presidents. I really, really don't think Obama is a Muslim from Kenya. It's just far-fetched. And I really don't think that half of the stories about Trump are true, because look at what happens today. This was a few days ago. Look what happens. We know they're putting out BS. Everyone does. I've asked a lot of people this. Are we doomed? And they tend to say yes. So what do you think? Are we doomed? Is there a solution? Can we get people to understand what is going on with the media in this country? Let me know what you think. Comment below and we'll keep the conversation going. If you want to support my work, go to timcast.com/donate. Give whatever you'd like or give nothing at all. My videos are always free and available every day at 4 p.m. I am trying to build a new computer for podcasting and video editing, and it is nightmarish because we're having memory problems, boot errors, and I'm probably gonna have to go and deal with all of that today. So that's what I'll be doing. But I want to say thank you to everyone who watched this video and who tried to come up with an idea to how we solve these problems. Stay tuned, new videos every day at 4 p.m., and I'll see you then.